Have you ever felt like your whole life was falling apart? Not in a loud, dramatic way, but in the quiet, exhausting kind, where you wake up, and everything familiar has turned into something you no longer recognize. You're not sure when it started. You just know that somewhere along the way, what used to give you comfort, now brings you pain. What used to be certain, now feels like shifting sand. Maybe it was the day you lost your job, or the night someone you loved walked away, or the moment you looked in the mirror and thought, I don't even know who I am anymore. You try to breathe, you try to smile, but deep down, there's a voice whispering, I think I'm losing control of everything. And so I ask you now, not as a stranger, but as someone who's been there, have you ever felt like your world became too loud, too fast, too broken, and you just needed everything to stop? Not because you wanted to quit, but because you were too tired to keep pretending. If your answer is yes, then you're not alone. And, more importantly, you're stronger than you think. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Chaos doesn't always come with explosions. Sometimes, it comes with silence. It shows up in the courtroom, when the judge declares a divorce finalized. It walks in quietly, when you're told your position is no longer needed. It sits beside you, when the person you trusted the most says they've found someone else. Chaos can be a hospital bed. It can be an empty bank account. It can be a dinner table with one less chair. And worst of all, chaos isn't always outside. Sometimes, it lives inside of you, in the form of anxiety you can't explain, in the form of tears you wipe before anyone sees, in the form of pretending everything's fine when it isn't. And in those moments, you ask yourself, where do I go from here? What do I do when nothing feels solid anymore? But here's what life rarely tells you. Chaos is not just destruction. It's also a door that doesn't look like hope at first. It looks like rubble, like ruin, like the end of everything you knew. But sometimes, buried in that mess is a narrow crack of light. Faint, flickering, easy to miss. Most people don't see it. They're too angry, too broken, too lost in the noise. But you, if you sit with the chaos long enough, if you breathe through the ache, if you dare to believe that maybe this pain is not your prison, then slowly, quietly, you'll notice something shifting. The ground beneath you hasn't collapsed. It's transforming, because chaos isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's the beginning of a rebirth. In ancient times, warriors didn't just study weapons. They studied patterns of the battlefield, of the sky, of the human heart. Among them was Sun Tzu, the legendary strategist who taught, amid the turmoil of war, clarity can still be found. His wisdom wasn't about brute force. It was about presence, the kind of calm that notices what others miss in panic. Because Sun Tzu knew one truth. Even when the world is burning, there is always a pattern, a narrow thread of possibility woven into the chaos. But only those who pause, who observe, who refuse to be consumed by the storm, can follow that thread to something new. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. These words, simple yet profound, hold a mirror to our darkest moments. They don't deny the existence of pain. They don't pretend that chaos is easy, but they whisper something different. That even when everything falls apart, there is something left. A choice, a spark, a doorway. You might not see it at first, because chaos blinds, deafens, disorients. But if you stay still just long enough, you'll feel it. The quiet pulse of possibility beneath the wreckage. That's what this quote is about. It's not just survival, it's about awakening. Awakening to the idea that your most broken moment might be the exact place your new life begins. Chaos isn't just a battlefield term. It's the day your company lets you go. It's the night your partner walks out. It's the silence after a diagnosis. It's sitting in a room full of noise, feeling completely alone. In those moments, opportunity doesn't look like a golden door. It looks like tears. It sounds like nothing. It feels like the end. But that's where the secret hides. Because when your plans are shattered, you're finally free from them. When the old world burns down, you're no longer bound by its walls. Maybe chaos pushed you out of a life you had outgrown. Maybe it stripped you of what was fake, so you could begin again with what's real. Many people have found their purpose not in comfort, but in collapse. They didn't rebuild the old house. They designed a better one from the ruins. Chaos doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers in the silence after you've lost something that defined you. It's losing your job after 10 loyal years. It's watching a dream you nurtured slip through your fingers. It's the moment a doctor enters the room and you already know from their eyes something's changed. But chaos isn't just outside of us. It's the storm within, the spinning thoughts that won't let you sleep, the doubt that eats away your confidence, the ache of what now that lingers in your chest. Chaos is losing your sense of self. It's the crack in your identity when the labels fall off. Husband, mother, entrepreneur, student. Suddenly, you're just you, and you're not sure who that even is anymore. But here's the paradox. Chaos, terrifying as it feels, is also the only thing strong enough to shake us awake. Opportunity rarely knocks in silence. It crashes through chaos dressed as endings, disappointments, and detours. You see, when you've lost everything, you also lose the fear of starting over. When no one else understands you, you're finally forced to understand yourself. When everything you leaned on collapses, you discover the one thing still standing is you. Opportunity hides in strange places. In a hospital room, where someone rediscovers what truly matters. In an empty bank account, where a hidden talent is awakened. In a goodbye you didn't want that clears the space for a life you never imagined. It doesn't always look like a golden door. Sometimes, it's a crack in the wall of despair, but cracks let light in, and light shows you the way out. Chaos clears the canvas. Opportunity is the first brushstroke you dare to make again. Chaos is not the end. It's the reset button life quietly presses when we've strayed too far from ourselves. You may see it as punishment, but what if it's permission? Permission to release who you thought you had to be, so you can become who you were truly meant to be. Think of the tree that loses all its leaves. To the outside world, it looks dead, but under the surface, something powerful is happening. Roots dig deeper, stronger, preparing for a bloom no one sees coming. That's what chaos can do. Strip away the noise, tear down the illusion, and show you the unshakable parts of yourself. Your clarity is often born when comfort is lost. Your courage is often awakened when options are gone. So no, chaos is not your enemy. It's the harsh teacher that arrives uninvited, but leaves behind the greatest lessons of your life. And if you're standing in the rubble right now, look closer. There's a seed. It's small, buried, quiet. But if you dare to water it, it will grow. Story 1. The homeless veteran. He once stood proud in uniform, carrying the weight of duty on his shoulders. But when the war ended, a different kind of battle began. After returning from Iraq, he was not the same. The sounds, the flashes, the memories, they followed him home. PTSD, they said, but those were just letters. What he felt was chaos. He lost his job, then his home, then his family. One night, he sat under a bridge. It was winter, cold. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. In his hand was a bottle of pills. In his heart, a silence louder than gunfire. And that's when it happened. A small boy, maybe 8 years old, walked up to him. No fear in his eyes, just a curious innocence. The boy handed him a sandwich and said, "Mister, do you want to live again?" He didn't cry. He couldn't, but something cracked open. That night, he didn't take the pills. The next morning, he walked to a shelter, then to a clinic, then to a meeting. Step by step, he clawed his way out of the shadows. Today, he's not just alive. He's a counselor for fellow veterans. He sits in rooms with men who look like he used to. Lost, angry, ashamed, and he tells them, "I was there. And if I could come back, so can you." Story 2. The mother who lost her child. She had one daughter, bright eyes, curly hair, a laugh that filled every corner of their little apartment. She called her my sunshine, because even on the darkest days, that child was the light. Then one rainy morning, a speeding car, a red light, a phone call from the hospital, and just like that, silence. Rooms full of toys, empty. Drawings on the fridge, frozen in time. She stopped talking, stopped eating, stopped caring. People told her, "Be strong. She's in a better place." But no one told her how to breathe without hearing her daughter's voice. One afternoon, she visited the cemetery. She sat by the grave, unable to say anything. That's when she saw another woman nearby, young, sobbing, crumpled by a tombstone. Something pulled her up. She walked over, knelt beside the stranger, and whispered, "You're not alone." The other woman looked at her, startled, then broke down into her arms. That one moment changed everything. She began returning to that cemetery not to mourn, but to comfort others. She started a small support group for grieving parents. At first, just 3 people, then 10, now hundreds across the country. She tells them, "Our scars are not weaknesses. They're bridges between those who understand pain and those who need to heal." And in her quiet strength, she became the mother of many hearts. Story 3. The businessman who lost everything at 40. He once had everything. A successful company, a house with a lake view, a wife who smiled beside him in every photo, 2 sons who looked up to him like a hero. Then came the betrayal. A trusted partner, a fake investment. One signature and everything crumbled. In 3 months, he lost his business. In 6, he lost his house. By the end of the year, his wife filed for divorce, and his sons stopped answering his calls. He moved into a small, rented room, barely enough space for a bed and a table. Worked as a warehouse night shift worker. No one recognized him anymore. No one remembered the man in the suit. One day, while cleaning his room, he found a broken canvas and some old brushes from college. Just for a moment, he sat down and painted a picture of his son standing under a tree. He didn't think it was good, but he photographed it and sent it to his younger son. The next morning, his son replied, "Dad, I didn't know you still cared this much." That painting, without his knowledge, was posted online. Thousands reacted. People messaged him, asking for portraits, not of celebrities, but of loved ones, of loss, of hope. He started painting every night. Every story he received became a brushstroke. His small room turned into a studio of healing. Today, he doesn't call himself a businessman. He calls himself a translator of pain. He paints stories of chaos, heartbreak, survival, and on the back of every canvas he writes, "This was born from brokenness," which means it was born strong. Maybe right now, you are in your own storm. Maybe things are falling apart. Finances, health, relationships, or simply your sense of self. And maybe you've been asking, why me? Why now? When will it end? But let me tell you something you may have forgotten. You are still here, still breathing, still listening, still hoping despite everything. That alone is not weakness. That is resilience in its rawest, most human form. Chaos doesn't knock. It crashes in. And when it does, your instinct might be to fight it, to resist, to deny that things are broken. But sometimes, healing begins. When you stop fighting the storm and start listening to what it's trying to tell you. Sit with the mess. Sit with the silence. And ask, what opportunity is hiding in this? Because the truth is, it's not the chaos that changes you. It's what you choose to do within it. Chaos is not your enemy. It may, in fact, be your invitation to rebuild with stronger hands, to love with a deeper heart, and to walk a new path with more truth. Remember, some flowers only bloom after wildfires. Some lives only awaken after being undone. So if your world is shaking right now, hold still and look again. The opportunity you've been praying for might be blooming beneath the rubble. If you're walking through a storm right now, if everything feels uncertain, heavy, and chaotic, please know this: you are not alone. There are countless others quietly rebuilding themselves from the ashes, and you are already one of them. If these words found you in a moment of darkness, leave a crit or a crid in the comments. 2. If you're still in the middle of the chaos, if you found even the smallest seed of hope, either way, it means you're still trying. And that alone deserves to be seen. If you felt something stir in your heart today, subscribe to this channel, U.S. Soldiers Memory, USM. Because here, we don't just tell stories. We walk with the wounded. We honor the survivors. We remember those who fought battles the world will never see. And next time, I'll bring you another story about how even the most broken beginnings can lead to the most beautiful returns.